My name's Ben, and this is the Belmont Rapid Infuser. I'm going to show you the setup and use today. With the Belmont, you put the tubing set in dry with the machine turned off, and it primes itself. So you don't burp the bags, you don't do anything. You grab the tubing out of the kit, heater in your left hand, reservoir in your right, pop the reservoir in first, get this little red arrow pointing up and out on the heater next. You put those two pieces in first, then your hands are free and it's all color coded. Red to red. Instead of pushing this piece in, what you do is get the patient line pushed into the air detector, and that's going to hold that portion into place. Next, you get the blue arrow pointing in towards the machine to set this tubing into this air detector here. So you kind of use the reservoir, get it so it sits on this little shelf right above the pump, and it's flush with the top of the machine. Then thread the blue into the blue. That's the whole setup. So now everything's in place. Close, use the latch to lock the door shut. Flip the switch on the back, push up hard so you meet resistance. It wakes up and then it's going to prompt you through the steps to prime. So out of the box, all the lines come open. So I usually say clamp off the bifurcated set, save that for the blood, and then follow the prompt. Connect fluid bag, unclamp line, press prime, do it again. So grab a saline. Once you get a little fluid in the reservoir, you can press prime, and it starts 100 countdown. It's clamped off internally here to the patient line. So the first step just clears this circuit, forcing the air up the line and out the vent at the top of the reservoir. It takes 12 seconds. Now this circuit's all air free, and the next prop shows up. System prime, prepare patient line. So out of the box, it's all coiled up and capped. You break that down, hang it over the trash, but I'm going to put it back into this bag. You can press patient line prime once. It'll prime at 50 a minute. You can be doing something else, but if you're in a hurry, press and hold, and it'll prime the line out at 200 a minute. So you just do this until you're sure there's no air left in the line, and then when you're clear, hit stop, and it's a lure lock connection to the patient. You get the best flow if you strip the catheter right down to the hub and make the connection there, because if you're going into an 18 gauge with a loop and a stopcock, it's going to jam it up and cause pressure when you're trying to go fast. So make your connection right to the hub of the catheter. When you're ready to go, press infuse, and it starts you out at 10 a minute. The heat's on, you can start hanging your blood products now. Cumulative volume to the patient, line pressure, temperature, and status all regulate themselves. You control the rate by increments of 10 mLs a minute down here. So you can press like that, you can press and hold. If you got a big line in, instead of going like this all the way up, that's a shortcut to bring you right to 500 a minute. So it's set for 500, you're watching it speed up here. Now if you start to go too fast through a small line, you can watch the pressure rise here. This is the patient line pressure. As that goes up, the machine starts to slow itself down to try to compensate. It's trying to keep this pressure below 300. And if it can't, and if the pressure rises too high, clamps itself shut, high pressure detected, check patient line for blockage. So right away, if you look and do not see an occlusion on the patient line, you got to figure that it's the catheter that's causing the pressure. So you say, okay, you press next, and then decrease the rate before the pressure, or before the rate speeds up and causes the same pressure with the catheter. Now, you got 3 different lines up here. You can do blood, FFP, albumin, crystalloid. You can mix and match your different products up here. You can put hundreds of units of blood through the tubing. There's a filter built in. Just no cryo or platelets because they clot up because of the calcium. So no cryo or platelets, but blood and FFP. When the reservoir runs dry, air hits here, and it clamps itself shut. So now you have a bunch of air in the set, but the air never had a chance to get introduced to the patient line. So it's trapped in here. So you can stay connected to the patient. The prompt tells you fluid out, check inlet tubing and filter, add more fluid. So you just make sure that the inlet tubing is not kinked off. Your filter's good because you didn't add any cryo or platelets. So it's easy enough. You say, okay, we ran dry, open back up your saline, press reprime, and then it does a 100 mil countdown from the beginning, and all that air that was introduced gets forced back up and out the vent. So in 12 seconds, you're cleared back out without having to disconnect from the patient. Right back to your operating screen. So we know we've got 342 cc's to the patient so far. You can give continuous infusion, but you can also give boluses. So hold the key, and you can choose different volumes, 100, 200, 4, 5, or a liter. It's just on a loop, so you can just find your number when you see it again. Let's say 500. No matter what volume you choose, the rate for the bolus is going to try to work its way to 200 a minute. Now, if the catheter allows it, great. If not, you may have to adjust. Say, okay, I want to do 500 over 5 minutes. Bring the rate down to 100 a minute. So you can adjust the rate however you like for the bolus as well. The heat's always on. It stays between 37 and 39. The only time it doesn't heat is when it's at 2.5 or 5 a minute, because it's going so slow it says low flow. But after the initial prime, it starts at 10, and that's where the heat comes on. Now, the other time it doesn't heat is when it's on battery power. So, if the battery's fully charged, you got 30-minute transport time. It doesn't actively heat when it's unplugged, so press this recirc button while you're still plugged in. That's going to clamp shut the patient line and warm up everything in this circuit. So after a couple minutes, you'll feel your reservoirs warm. It'll try to warm the bags. So then, okay, you're ready to transport. Unplugged. Battery, no heating, but your fluid's already pre-warmed. And you can go at a rate of 50 mLs a minute max on battery. Always bring the plug with you when you go, plug it back in, and the heat will come right back on, and you can go up to the faster rates again. There's also a medication port downstream on the patient line, so you can push in any product that you don't want to have go through the heater. You know exactly how much fluid you've delivered to your patient here. And there's a booklet that hangs on the machine that goes through the setup and the prime. This is nice because it's a flow rate to catheter chart, so you can kind of manage your expectations when you're connecting to a certain gauge to know how fast you're going to be able to infuse blood and crystalloid. And then alarm message, possible cause, solution to, with a troubleshooting guide on the back. Name of everything here. And then it's always good to remember that this is always in mLs per minute, so there's a little ml minute to hour conversion chart there. And then when you're all done, just turn off the machine. The disposable comes out in one piece just like it went in. It's an induction heater, so it never feels warm, but it'll heat up the fluid right away on the way to the patient. And that's the Belmont Rapid Infuser.
Thank you.